What is up, guys? Smooth here, back with another Minecraft video. Today we're going to be looking over every major change and update that's been added to Minecraft 1.9 in what has been called the Combat Update. This is now the longest wait for a major update to Minecraft, with over 500 days now having elapsed since the release of 1.8 on September 2nd, 2014. Now when I say I'm covering just about everything, I'm not kidding, so this is going to be a pretty long video. So chances are, if there's anything you're trying to learn about Minecraft 1.9, you're about to see it right now, so let's get right into it. So first, let's start things off by looking at some of the combat changes, and we'll begin with dual wielding. So I'm going to take out a couple items here. Let's take out a sword, a shield, and some torches. So first, I'm going to equip the sword. So you can see that if you left click like normal, you can attack, but if I right click, I can no longer block the way you normally would with a sword. They've actually added an offhand slot which functions as your left hand. So I'm going to put a shield over there, and if I right click, I can now use a shield to block. So this does have a couple other utilities. So if I was to equip torches in my offhand instead of a shield, you'll see I can attack and then I can place a torch since it's now in my offhand. So again, you could do some pretty cool things with it, but it also affects ranged weaponry as well. So I'm going to go in here, put these items away, and I'm going to take out a bow and two different types of arrows. So let's get rid of these torches over here, and I'm going to put the spectral arrows in my offhand slot and regular arrows over here. So the best way to display this would be to go into survival mode. So I'm going to shoot the spectral arrow since it prioritizes your offhand. So if I go like this, you'll see that in my hotbar, the spectral arrow has gone down one while I'm not using the other one. So that's basically just a small change in terms of arrow priority, but it can make it a little bit more effective, so it's a lot less random than it could potentially be. So next up, let's look at attack speed. Let me actually just go back into creative before I get into this section. So they added attack speed to kind of balance out different aspects of weapons. So you have swords, which are at 1.6 attack speed, pickaxes at 1.2, shovels at 1, axes being the slowest at 0.8 to 1, hoes being at 1 to 4, and other items being 4. So let's look at how this actually functions. So let me just clear out my inventory a bit over here and take out a sword. So let's take out the sword right over here, and you'll see that in my right by my hotbar on the right side that I have a little sword that kind of fills up, and basically if it's not fully charged by the time that you swing, you'll do less damage. So more attack speed will help because you can click a little bit faster, but spam clicking now has negative consequences. Also, one more thing worth noting, which I didn't mention in dual wielding, is if you press F, it's default to switch your hand. So like, again, it's the same way as before. So now I have this in my main hand, this in my offhand. All you do is press F. All right, now let's go to something that's a little bit slower. So let's go to axes. So I'll show you how slow an axe actually is. And you'll see if I click it, it fills up much more slowly. Just like that. So let's put that away. Oops, let's get it back in its proper slot right over there. All right, and you see hoes have a range of 1 to 4. So I'll take out a wooden hoe as well as a diamond one. So if you swing the wooden one, you'll see it's a little bit on the slow side, but if I go to the diamond hoe, it's really fast. So a diamond hoe you can actually kind of spam click. So, you know, there are some things that you could do with it, but it still doesn't do a lot of damage. And I'm going to show you the damage values here right now. All right, so attack strength. So let's start off with the swords first. You have wooden swords at 4, stone swords at 5, iron sword 6, diamond 7, and gold sword 4. So there's also a new sweep attack. So if you go over here, let's take out this wooden sword and spawn a couple zombies so I can show you what I mean. So let's spawn a couple here. Oh, actually, I gotta get out of peaceful mode. Actually, let's set time to night. Set time night. Let's see, time set night rather. There we go. All right, so these guys don't burn out. All right, so if I click them, you'll see now there's a sweeping attack. So basically, it has like an AOE now when you hit them. I gotta group them up a little bit closer for it to work properly, but you guys kind of get the deal. If I'm not mistaken, I believe only the initial zombie that's hit takes the full damage. The other kind of just take like a knockback effect. And in some cases, if I'm not mistaken, they do take a small amount of damage. All right, let's put this away. And let's move on to the other items. So wooden shovel 2.5. Actually, let me just go back into peaceful because these guys are going to get obnoxious. All right, wooden shovels are at 2.5, stone 3.5, iron 4.5, diamond 5.5, and gold 2.5. So these are not very powerful items in terms of doing damage. Next up, pickaxes. These are even weaker. So you have a wooden pickaxe at 2, stone 3, iron 4, diamond 5, and gold being at 2. So axes actually have a very interesting change. They're actually viable as a weapon now because you'll see that their damage values are very high. A wooden axe is 7, stone, iron, and diamond are all 9, and a gold axe is also 7. So this is what they were upon initial release. I'm not sure if these plan on being balanced because it does seem like they're a little overpowered in that a stone axe starts off with 9. But you can potentially one-hit a handful of creatures by just getting a crit with a stone axe. So like, you know, getting early game, getting food, for example, would be very, very easy. You also have a new axe attack, which I can't display only because I would need another player to be doing it with me right now. But basically what it does is it has a 25% chance of disabling your opponent's shield for 5 seconds. And you'll see a little debuff similar to the little sword icon you saw earlier. So it'll basically show that they have it for 5 seconds, and then it'll eventually disappear unless you reapply it. Next up, we have the hose. So you have all of them at 1 attack damage. So they're not too significant, and they're basically the equivalent of other random items. So again, swinging any, like an item frame or anything for that matter, will also just do 1 attack damage. Well, it'll have 1 attack strength rather. Also worth noting is that there's a new bow animation. So if I put this in here, and if you look at my hotbar, if I pull back, it's now animated in the hotbar. Small change, but it does add a nice little aesthetic to it, so you know when your bow is fully pulled back. Next up, we have notch apples. Notch apples have changed in that they're not craftable in survival anymore, and they've also been nerfed to quite a significant extent actually. So right now they heal 16 health, which is 8 hearts total, and they give 16 absorption, which is 8 hearts total. Before it was just ridiculously high, to the point that if you took one of these, you were essentially immortal for the duration. So a good nerf, but again, it's no longer viable. It's no longer usable in survival, so it's only really good for like maps and mini games and stuff like that were created in creative. Also worth noting is that the all armor blocks less damage. So the combat update is trying to make everything a little bit harder. So I believe everything has been roughly halved. So diamond armor will protect you from half as much as it used to before. Also, explosion damage from TNT has been reduced. Weapon damage has been reduced, as we saw before. The damage values were slightly higher in the past, and potion effects have been reduced as well. So that's basically the gist of most of the combat stuff, although I'll go into some more specifics a little bit later into things like potions. But now let's get over here and look at some of the new blocks. So let me just set time back today. And first, let's look at these. So you have something called a chorus flower over here, and this is the base of a chorus plant. And the entire chorus tree looks just like so. Now, in order to plant these, you actually have to harvest the flower, so you would break this over here, and then you would plant it like I have over here. I have this covered on top so they don't grow anymore. But that's the gist of how it works. If you were to break it from the bottom, the entire thing shatters, and you get something called chorus fruit. You actually won't get the flower, so you do have to harvest them from the top, which is why it's a little bit of an inconvenience to go up there, but you can set it up in your own little funky kind of way. And these have quite a significant use. So you do have a handful of blocks that can be crafted using them. So let's look over here. So again, as I said before, chorus trees drop chorus fruit, and when they're cooked, they make pop chorus fruit. So let's put some chorus fruit right over here, and you'll see that, again, I already had some being cooked up, but if you wait just a little bit longer, you will get something called popped chorus fruit. There we go. We now have our pop chorus fruit, and I'll show you what you can craft with them. So you have something called purpur blocks, which are found in end cities, and they have a nice little aesthetic to them. They're made by taking 4 pop chorus fruit, just like so. And it's raining, so let's see. Weather clear. There we go. All right, next up you have purpur slabs. You take 3 purpur blocks and you put them across like this to get a couple purpur slabs. Then you have purpur pillars. This is a lot of like tongue twisters. You take 2 slabs just like that and you place them on top of each other and you will get your purpur pillars. And then finally we have purpur stairs. Again, they're made in the same shape as traditional stairs, just using purpur blocks. So again, some nice little cool potential design options, so you do have a little bit more variety. Next is a small change, but I'm a big fan of this. You have something called path blocks. So if you take a shovel and you were to scoop the floor with it, you can now create something called path blocks. Again, it doesn't really serve any major purpose other than just being very aesthetic. So, if you have something like a path leading towards your house, you could build a nice little clean road to it otherwise. So pretty cool stuff. All right, next up you have something called a dragon head. So this has a chance to drop from the ender dragon when you defeat it in the end, and it also can be powered with redstone. So if I activate this lever over here, you'll see it moves its mouth. It's kind of silly, but you know, it's pretty cool, I guess. And also you can equip it as well. So let's let me just see, dragon head. And I'll put this on right now for you guys, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so let's go into F5 mode, and you see just like that, I now have a dragon head on. It's a little bit ridiculous, a little bit clunky, but it's I don't know, just kind of cool. Nice little, always nice to have kind of these weird little additions to the game. Next up is an end gateway block. So I'll talk a little bit more about this in detail later, but it is a new block, so I did add it to this section. And you can use this to teleport to different end cities. Again, more will be talked about that when I go into end a little bit later. Another block that can be found in the end are end rods. Again, these are found in end cities, and they do give off, I believe, just as much light as a glowstone, if I'm not mistaken. They can also be crafted as well, so you take popped chorus fruit with a blaze rod, just like this, and you can craft them. So I was actually concerned that they were going to be kind of rare, but they did add a crafting recipe in later snapshots. So these are pretty cool. There's a lot of things you could do with them. And they're also kind of strange in how they connect to each other, but I just did a couple examples over here in terms of how they connect. All right, also they added endstone bricks. So you take 4 pieces of endstone and put them in a little square like that, and you'll get these endstone bricks. All right, next up is frosted ice. This is a new block that's temporary, but I'm going to talk about these a little more in detail later. So I'm going to equip these boots with a Frostwalker enchantment, and you'll see if I get close to this ice, it will turn into frosted ice. If I step away, it'll start to crack slowly. So again, this is a temporary block. Yep, and it turns right back into water, just like that. So let's put that away, and some of this other stuff as well, so I don't get all cluttered up. All right, next up we have these really odd blocks called structure blocks. So these were hinted at very heavily by one of the developers named Sarge, and they don't really serve any major purpose at the moment in terms of, unless you're a developer basically. So you have 4 of them, and they are save, load, corner, and data. These basically are used to create like randomly generated structures like igloos and stuff like that. So they, I can't really give you a lot of detail only because there hasn't been a lot of things written about them. I know in the early snapshots, if you right click them, you actually had options that you could edit inside them, so you could create your own little structures in the same way that you could do igloos, which again, I'll show you igloos a little bit later. But the only thing you could do with them is you can take mods to actually edit these and then access whatever is inside them. So they don't serve a purpose yet, but they will for a regular user possibly later on. They've also added a couple different new command blocks. So you have an impulse command block, which is the original one that you had in all versions of the game prior, since command blocks were added, of course. You have something called a chain command block and a repeat command block. So a repeat command block, as you can imagine, just kind of repeats its whatever's being written inside in the code. And a chain command block will activate whenever the thing prior to it was activated. So there's also kind of like a chain in commands now. So I'll go over here because you'll see that they have arrows that point in the direction of where the command block will head. So if I go like this and then I put another one against it like that, you'll see again arrows are pointing in this direction. Oops, I gotta press it against that one. Again, you'll see it's all directional now. So if I go again here, you'll see it's pointing this way. So you'll have to have like an arrow pointing into the chain command block in order for it to activate. So just a small little change, but it does make command blocks a little bit more efficient. And also there's a small change that I like that's pretty cool is you can have something that says needs redstone or always active. So if I have something like this that's always active, you don't actually need to put anything on it for it to for the command to activate. Small change, but it makes life a lot easier for people who like to mess with commands and whatnot. It's raining quite a bit. What is this? Weather clear. All right, now we have some new items. All right, we're all clear. So for the new items, let's start off with the beetroot. So you have beetroot, beetroot seeds, and beetroot soup. So obviously you plant beetroot seeds to get beetroot, and then you can make beetroot soup later on. This is what they look like. So relatively simple. They almost look like retextured carrots with a kind of just like a darker texture. And if you would take 6 of them and put them over a bowl, you'll get beetroot soup. Also, they were added as a recipe to make rose red, so you can do that as well. I mentioned this earlier, chorus fruit and pop chorus fruit. Nothing particularly interesting. different than before. The only reason why I added them here is that you could take, oops, I put the pop ones here. So let's just take a regular chorus fruit and I'll show you what they can actually do. Let me go into survival mode for a second. And if you eat these chorus fruit, you basically teleport around like an Enderman. So I just randomly appeared over here, so let's do it again. It's pretty cool. So this stuff can, it has like a function in combat. So if like you're in a tight spot, you could potentially eat this and then just appear somewhere else randomly. And you'll also notice if you look at my hotbar that after I eat one, there's a little cooldown. Yeah, just like that. So you can't like spam them too much because that would be a little bit OP. Let's put that over there. All right, so we went over those two. Next up, you have one of the coolest items probably ever added into Minecraft, and that's called the Elytra. So, oops, I didn't put one in the chest. So let's just grab one in creative. So let's go back into creative for a second and grab one of these bad boys. So Elytra are basically, they're named after beetle wings, if I'm not mistaken. So you can put these in your armor slot. And let me just go into F5 mode. So I'm gonna just go up like this, and if you jump down, whoops, I think I gotta double tap the space bar. So let's fall down. There you go, just like that, and you can start gliding. So let me get up a little bit higher because I need a little bit more space to display this. I probably should have made like a platform for me to jump down. But basically, I'm gonna double tap spacebar so I fall, and then I'm gonna press spacebar one more time, which activates the Elytra. Just like that. So I'm now gliding all about. You can go pretty far with these things. I mean, I might make a separate video explaining every little thing that's going on with them, but you can go pretty far. So it basically functions as a glider. It's not infinite, but you can make it infinite if you were to hit yourself with like a punch bow, which might be it might be something that they change in the near future, because that could potentially be extremely overpowered in PvP. Oops, I'm actually already in creative, so let's just put that away. There we go. Alright, now end crystals aren't necessarily new to the game, but you can craft them now, which you weren't able to do before. So if you take an Eye of Ender and a gas tier and surround them with glass, you can now craft one. Pretty cool, nice little addition, and you can also use these to respawn the Ender Dragon, which is why a crafting recipe was added. Alright, next up we have some more items as well as brewing changes. So let me just quickly set time back today. And let's look at a small changing with enchanting. So when you click in over here, there we go. You now need blaze powder to use a brewing stand. You'll see you have this little charge thing over here. So it's just basically makes brewing a little bit more expensive. Not a significant change, but it does affect it a little bit. And one blaze powder allows you to get 20 ingredients to brew. You also have a new item called Dragon's Breath, and these are used to create lingering potions. So that's actually not the important part. So these are all the different lingering potions you have. If I was to take like, let's take a lingering potion of harming. And I'll go into survival mode. I don't think it functions by itself like this. Oh, it does actually. So you'll see that after you drop it, it has like these lingering particle effects. So if somebody was to jump into this, you'll basically get the effect of whatever the potion was. So I'm in creative right now, so you won't see me actually take the effect. But if I was to do this in survival, I would take damage whenever I would walk into this. Alrighty, so let's put that away. And again, you have it with a whole ton of other effects as well. Splash water potions are now a thing. They don't really serve any purpose, but they're basically, you can basically use them to make other splash potions later on. Glowstone dust and redstone no longer extend potions to tier 2, so that's a very, very notable change in terms of brewing. You now have potions of luck. So these actually can affect your chances of getting drops, like for example when you're fishing. So you have a potion of luck, a splash potion of luck, and a lingering potion of luck. Again, just like that. I'll show you the lingering potion effect one more time. Oh, actually, let's get the lingering one. There we go. It's kind of cool. So again, you walk in here, and if you look in the top right corner, I get that little buff icon. It's like a 4-leaf clover that shows I have luck temporarily. See, so I have it for 1 minute, and I think it was 1 minute and 15 seconds or so. All right, and you also have a whole ton of new status effects. So I'm actually gonna get all of these for a second, and some milk as well. So I want you guys to look at the top right corner so you can see all my effects. So let's get some night vision. Let's get a potion of leaping, potion of fire resistance, potion of strength, potion of regeneration. I don't think I drank the strength one fully. There we go. And a potion of luck, which I think I already had. So basically, if you look at the top right corner over here, they're basically sorted in order of which one will expire first and which one will expire last. And you'll see that they start fading away a little bit and they start blinking when they're about to go away. So let's look at my the regeneration one, I think that is. Yeah, and you can see it blinks and then it disappears. So again, pretty cool little change. You know, it makes things a lot easier to see. Let me just get rid of all these buffs so I'm not covered in particles. All right, cool. All right, next up we have a whole ton of new arrows. So you can now tip arrows so they have a ton of different effects. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily want to hit your opponent with like an arrow of healing, but they're, you know, Mojang isn't necessarily going to stop you from doing so. You could you know, do some cool things. You can heal one of your teammates from like far away. So it does have some potential uses, but let's go over all of them in just a second. So you have regular arrows, you have spectral arrows. So these are probably the most unique arrows added. So I'm gonna show you guys how these actually function. So let's spawn a pig over here, and I'm gonna shoot it with a spectral arrow quickly. Whoops. And whenever you shoot something with a spectral arrow, they have that outline. So if I was to go behind a wall, for example, I can still see it through a wall. So it makes combat, like when people are digging and trying to hide, a lot easier. And you see it has kind of like a quick fade time. But again, it works with all different kinds of mobs, but I just one hit that one. But you get the deal. Very, very cool addition to the game, and it makes people running away a lot harder. And this is the crafting recipe for it, actually. So you take an arrow and you surround it by 4 glowstone dust, and that will give you 2 spectral arrows. The other arrow effects are arrow of regeneration, swiftness, fire resistance, healing, night vision, strength, leaping, invisibility, poison, weakness, slowness, harming, water breathing, and luck. So again, a lot of these you wouldn't want to hit your opponent with, but again, just giving you more options to work with. That I mentioned earlier, and this is the general recipe on how you craft these tipped arrows. You take the lingering potion, I'm sorry, and then you surround them with these, just like that, and it'll produce 8 arrows. Also worth noting is positive effects are on the top right row and negative effects are on the bottom row. So if I was to give myself a negative effect, you'd see it on the bottom towards my hotbar. All right, next up we have enchanting changes. So you have new treasure enchantments, and these are found in chest loot, fishing, as well as trading. So the first one is something I showed you earlier. It's called Frostwalker. You have Frostwalker 1 and Frostwalker 2. So I'll quickly show you Frostwalker 1 first. So let's equip these in the boot slot. Whoops, I already have them on. So all you have to do is just walk towards water, and as long as you're on the same level as it, everything will turn to frosted ice. And again, this is all temporary, so it'll eventually fade away. But there is something I want to show you that's worth noting. So if I was to, let's say, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me just break one piece of glass right over here and wait for all this ice to fade away. Going, 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 gone. You'll see that while I'm in water, I can't actually create any ice over here. You have to be walking, you have to be already on the surface of the water. So again, even if I float like this, I'm not going to get the effect. I have to get level with the water and then walk on it. And that's when the effect will happen. If I put Frostwalker 2 on, it's the same effect, it just has a larger radius, so I can create ice temporarily from a much further distance. Alright, I don't know why it's raining so much. Slash weather clear. Alright, let's get rid of my boots. There we go. And move along to the next item. The other treasure enchantment is mending. So basically, if you you can put these on various different items, and whenever you get experience orbs, it'll automatically heal the item for you, or mend it rather. So if you have multiple items that are mending, one will repair at random. But this is pretty much a cool change. You can potentially have, like if you have a very, very awesome like sword, for example, with a ton of different good enchantments, with mending on it, you can have it for a really long time. So it probably won't ever break on you. So let's see. Also worth noting with enchantments is sharpness and protection have been nerfed, and Silk Touch no longer works on shears in survival. So there's been some changes to shears as well. So let's talk about some new items and some changes. So boats have been completely reworked, and they're pretty interesting and funky. But for the most part, I would say it's been a very positive change. So you have all the different kinds of wood for boats. You have oak, spruce, birch, jungle, dark oak, and acacia. So you'll also notice that they have paddles. In the snapshots, you were actually able to go in this, and you'd have to like press different buttons to row them. But now it functions like a normal boat would, where you just use A and D to go left and right, W to go straight, and S to go backwards. So let's get out of that quickly. Let's see. So they have ores. They fit 2 entities. That's something that's pretty important. So let's go in here. I put some spawn things over here. So let's actually, it's daytime, so I'm not going to set it tonight, but let's spawn some pigs. Whoops. So I'll put some pigs over there, and I'll put a boat right next to them. There you go. So you can put one in there, and I can actually get into the boat with him. So just like that, I'm now riding in a boat with a little piggy. Pretty cool addition. So let's get out of it quickly. I think I just trapped them in a wall. And again, you could put 2 of pretty much any entity inside. So again, I have 2 pigs in there now, and you know, they're just chilling over there. Also, there's a small bug that's, I want to say, well, it's considered a bug by most people, but it's a pretty cool feature, is that if you put a boat on ice, they're ridiculously fast. Like, they're pretty much faster than any other form of transportation. You can still, like, swim a boat on a, or not swim a boat, but rather ride a boat on regular turf. But if you go on ice, it's pretty ridiculous. I believe it's faster than railroads, it's faster than, like, speed 2 potions, etc. So, this might end up being one of those things where a feature, like a bug, ends up becoming an unintended feature. But again, this works with all the boat varieties. Look at that thing slide away. Alright, so that's pretty much it for boats. Alright, next up we have lily pads. So lily pads can be placed on water and ice. So let's grab these over here. So again, this is no change. This is different, but you can't actually place it on why am I forgetting the name of this ice all of a sudden? You can't on packed ice. So that's just a small little change, not a very big deal. Next up is ender pearls can be thrown in creative and have a cooldown hotbar. So this kind of shows, it's kind of similar to chorus fruit that I showed you before. So if I throw it, I'm gonna throw it right over here. I'm now using it in creative, and again, it has that little cooldown debuff over there. All right, let's go back into daytime. Time set day. All right, next up is Fishing Roar has a hotbar animation, and you can hook on entities without causing knockback or damage. So let's get a fishing rod here. Let me just quickly show you the animation. So when you throw it, you'll see that the end of it disappears in your hotbar. And let me spawn a couple creatures for you. So let's spawn a pig. Oops, I didn't grab it. All right, so let's spawn a pig. And if I hit it with my bow, you'll see I'm latched to it, but I'm not actually damaging the thing. So it's pretty cool. Like if you want to start dragging around like any particular mob and you want to bring it towards your base or something, you can now do it with a fishing rod without doing damage, unless you're worried about like dropping them from certain heights. All right, let's put those away. Next up is maps in left hand can function as mini maps. This is a pretty cool feature that I think is going to be underused by a lot of people. So again, this is in my dominant hand, but if I press F and I put it in my offhand, you'll see that now I can run around with it, and it's in my offhand slot, but it looks like it's its own little mini map. Pretty cool little addition. I'm definitely fond of it. Let's put that over there. All right, next up, armor stands wobble in survival when they're hit. So let's go into survival, and you'll see I'm just going to left click it. So again, very, very small change, but it's kind of like one of those quality of life things where, actually not even quality of life, that wouldn't be the right way to put it, but just like a small little change that makes things look a little bit more satisfying. All right, next up, you can see your body while sleeping. So I'm going to set it to nighttime. Oops. /time set night. All right, so let's go to bed, and you see I can now see my body. Again, pretty cool. If you have something equipped in your hands, you can see it as well. Next up, buckets can be filled from cauldrons. So let's grab a bucket over here. Well, I'm in creative, so it's not filling it up, but you get the idea. You can now draw water from there. All right, next up, cobwebs will drop when cut with... Well, wow, tongue twister. I'm having so much trouble with this. Cobwebs will drop when cut from shears without enchant. So let's grab some cobwebs and some shears. I don't know why that went there, but let's put some down over here. Actually, I need to go into survival, and it's raining for like the 5th time. /game mode 0. All right, so let's place some cobwebs over here, and let's cut them. Oops. So before, this would just get you string if you didn't have it enchanted. So let's put these away. With Silk Touch, that is. All right, next up, game mode 1. Dead bushes drop 0 to 2 sticks. So let's put some down over here. And I don't know why I went back into creative mode, but you'll see right over here, they can now drop 0 to 2 sticks. So this one dropped 1, this one dropped 2. Pretty cool little change. All right, dispenser equips pumpkins on head of players, mobs, and armor stands. So if I click this, I now am wearing a pumpkin. Pretty cool. Again, small little change, but it's a nice little addition to the game. Let me get rid of it because this is probably the most obnoxious thing in Minecraft to use. Let's see. Next up, renaming an item does not increase repair costs. So that's pretty cool thing. I'm not sure why naming an item in the first place ever made it increase more. So again, kind of like a sensible little change. 1x1 glass panes and iron bars have changed appearance. So let's grab a bunch of these. So before they used to have like that plus look, but if you go like this, they now have like, it's like a 2x2 pixel look, if I'm not mistaken. I think, yeah, 2x2. And this is pretty much with all of them, but they do connect like normal. So let's just do it with all the different colors. And the same thing applies to iron bars. So it does make things look a little bit cooler. So if you want to make like a kind of a colorful pole looking thing, just like that, you know, you can do some pretty cool designs. Alrighty. Next up, we have hay bales. So hay bales now reduce fall damage, and you can fall and live 100.27 blocks without armor, and you can fall and live 169.19 blocks with feather falling. So that's actually a pretty massive change. So if you want to like get around your base a little bit faster, makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to go into survival mode, and I'm going to fall without actually landing on the hay bale. So let's fall over here. You'll see I took a little over, I think it was 2.5 hearts of damage, but if I go onto the hay bale, I only took half a heart. So it does reduce it pretty significantly. All right, next up, trapdoors no longer require supporting blocks, and they can be moved by pistons freely. So you'll see over here, like they're kind of just floating around like that. Like this is not connected to anything. This one's not connected to anything. And I can move them with pistons on this over here. So just like that, it moves. And I can move it in different positions as well. Small change, but pretty cool. Also, they can be climbed like a ladder if it is directly above a ladder on the same side of the block. So I put this over here, so you have these alternating ladders and trapdoors. And again, just like that, I'm climbing it as if the entire thing was a ladder. All right, so next up, trap chests now appear in the Redstone Creative tab. So let me actually show you that very quickly. Not significant, but it makes it a little bit more organized, since a trap chest, which is over here in the Redstone tab, kind of should have been here all along in the first place. All right, next up, water no longer shows flowing animation when directly adjacent to glass. So if you see me looking over here, a lot of people who are building like underwater structures that were like surrounded in glass, the flowing animation got a little bit annoying. So over here you see there's no flowing animation because it's adjacent to glass. But if I go over here, you can see it still flows on this side, and it flows normally the way it would. So again, small little change, but it probably has a big impact for a lot of people who make underwater bases. All right, next up is beacons. Beacon effect duration depends on pyramid level. So that basically, what I'm talking about, that is the height of the actual pyramid. So it's 9 seconds plus 2 seconds per level, per height, that is. Before, it used to be a constant 9 seconds. So I'm going to grab a beacon and some blocks and kind of demonstrate this. So before I put the beacon on, let me just get rid of these blocks over here and make a very small one. So let's place this over here. Wait for it to go up. All right, just like that. So I don't think I have an effect in there. So let's put some iron in there and give ourselves strength. All right, so let's go like that. Give ourselves a strength bonus. Actually, just give ourselves haste. There we go. Haste, check. Oops, let me see. Let me go into survival mode. So you see, I now have 9 seconds of haste in my for the beacon. Or is it? I don't know why it's 10. I think that might be a glitch. But let's go and put another block right down over here. And you'll see that when it regenerates, it's going to be a little bit higher. So now it goes up to 12. Let's do it one more time. 14. And one more time, this should make it 16. So I think it's supposed to actually be 1 second less than all these, because this is what I got from like an official Minecraft source. But you get the gist of it. The bigger the pyramid, the longer the duration of the effect will be. All right, next up we have new mobs and mob changes. So first up we have the Shulker, which is also it's basically short for a shell lurker. So let me get out of peaceful mode. Let's go into easy mode for a second. and show you what they look like. So if I spawn it out of this, it has kind of like a weird effect. Oops. I should probably actually get into creative mode for this. And they shoot these things over here that when they hit you, they'll cause you to levitate. They actually have a lot more armor when they're closed like this. So if I back away from it and they're closed, they'll let's see, let's wait for him to open up. If I hit it while he's open, his armor is reduced significantly. There we go. So like this, you can kill it with just a few hits. With the armor shell closed, I think it has 38 or 40 health or so. Basically, just a lot. And I'm going to show you what happens when it hits you. So let me go back into survival mode, and I'm going to let it give me the levitation effect. So let's go like that. Okay, so it just hit me. So if I go like this, you'll see I now have a couple seconds of levitation. This can potentially cause you to fall to your death. So I'm going to quickly go into creative mode as I'm about to fall down. I think he just keeps on hitting me with it again, so I'm just going to keep flying. Alright. But you guys get the deal. But this is what it would normally look like if you just spawned it on the ground. So this one is sideways. This is what it looks like when it's flat on the ground. Pretty cool mob. And again, these are found in end cities. And it's raining for the dozenth time. Alright, next up we have skeleton trap and skeleton horses. This is a really bizarre thing added to the game, but really cool. So you'll see that if I'm gonna spawn one of them. It's making all that noise. Actually, let me just set this to peaceful for a second to get rid of everything. Good, because I don't want to hear all that noise. And let's go back into easy and spawn a skeleton trap. So let's... Alright, so where did it go? Am I still in peaceful? No, I'm in easy. So where did this thing go? Let's do one more time. Actually, I think it was down, so let's go. There we go. So this is a skeleton trap horse. If I get close to it, thunder will hit it, and then you'll have a bunch of skeleton horses on zombie horses. So again, really, really cool. And these things are pretty awesome. So the skeleton horses have been around for quite a while, but they only recently added them into survival. You were able to add these into the game before with commands and stuff. But these things are pretty sweet. Also worth noting is that the horses themselves are not hostile. So if I was to go into peaceful mode, you'll see that the skeletons themselves disappear, but the horses will actually remain. Alright, so next up we have a small change. Endermen drop the block they were holding when killed. So let's put this stuff away over here. And let's spawn some Endermen and some grass blocks so they can pick them up. So let me get a sword as well. Alright, oops. Let's go into easy mode. And place a couple grass blocks in here. And spawn an Enderman. Alright, so let's wait for one of them to pick one up. Any second now. Any second now. Alright, I'm gonna get back to this in a second while I show you the next step. Alright, next up. Newly spawned iron golems have 100% knockback resistance. So let's create one over here. Oops. Stupid pig. Alright, there we go. He's sort of spawned on a wall, but if I hit him, you'll see he doesn't get knocked back at all. Small little change. Let's see if... Let me get rid of this horse as well. It's got too much stuff going on over here. There we go. Alright, so did any of them pick up a block? I see one block is missing. Which one of them has it? Did he replace it? Oh, this one's holding it. Alright, so if you'll see if I kill him... There we go. A couple more. There you go. After you kill him, he'll drop the block that he picked up. Alright. Next up, snow golem pumpkins can be removed with shears, and they can no longer damage the ender dragon. So let's put this stuff way over here. Let's grab that sword just in case. So let's spawn a snow golem. Alright, now if I use shears, it has this hilarious look now. You basically have this like really derpy looking snowman. Pretty awesome. I'm actually a really big fan of this. I don't know why. This is just one of those really silly things that just makes the game a lot more enjoyable. Alright, time, set, day. Alright, let's see. Next up. Creeper explosion damage has been decreased. Not too much to talk about this, But I'm pretty sure most of us are happy about that, even though protection has been slightly reduced for armor. Rabbits are smaller and skin depends on the biome. So I'm just going to spawn one over here. So if you look over here, we are currently in a plains biome. So every single rabbit I spawn will no longer be random. It'll be essentially what a plains rabbit would look like. So again, these are the type of bunnies that would spawn in a plains biome. If I was to spawn in if I was to have a bunny spawn in a winter biome, they'd be like that white color. The desert ones look, they look similar, like a color similar to sand, basically. So you guys kind of get the deal. And I don't know why I spawned so many. I'm going to regret that. But anyway, let's do the sweep attack. There we go. I'm horrible, I know. Alright, let's see. Next up, zombies and zombie pigmen lift arms up slightly when they go hostile. Alright, so let's spawn a couple of these and let's get rid of these guys. So, let's see, time, set, night. Spawn one of this. And let's go into survival mode. So let's hit this zombie. You'll see when he gets aggressive, he lifts his hands up. And now this guy as well, he's gonna get aggressive. Oh man. Well, when he's not owning them. Oh, I'm gonna mess up my entire setup over here. All right, actually we have a zombie right over here. Perfect. So you see his arms go up when he gets hostile. And now I'll do the same thing with the zombie pigment, so I'm gonna hit him. So you see the same thing. He lifts up his arms when it happens. All right, let's quickly go back into creative mode because this is gonna be a little bit hectic. And let's get rid of all those mobs. All right, cool. All right, next up, let's see. Chickens can be bred with melon, pumpkin, beetroot, and regular seeds now. Also, pigs can be led and bred with potatoes and beetroot along with carrots. Again, small little change, but basically kind of some additions to work with the beetroot addition. Next up are villager changes. So farmers now can harvest beetroot, librarians charge double for treasure enchantment books, and clerics sell ender pearls instead of eyes of ender for 4 to 7 emeralds each. Let's see, next up. Passive mobs will path around water if possible when food is held. Also, when panicking and on fire, they will try to get to nearest water. So let's put this stuff away. And let's grab some of these over here. So let's spawn a pig. So I'm going to spawn on the other side over here. And then I'm going to hold some beetroot. And you'll see he walks around the water to get to me. Let's go on this side. So again, as before, they would actually go inside the water, but now they no longer do. Also, if I set him on fire, he's going to go into the water right away. So they did get a little bit smarter. Let's see what else we have. Mobs avoid cacti and fire, except blazes do not avoid fire. So let's spawn this zombie over here. Oops, actually. Oh, this guy is so annoying. He's too OP. Let's go into peaceful mode. Actually get out of peaceful mode, rather. So let's spawn this guy over here. Oh man, let's get rid of this guy. Let's get a diamond sword to get rid of him. And I can't spam click him anymore. So let's put like 2 of these guys over here. Oh, that's a pretty cool looking one. And let's go into survival mode. So you're gonna see that they now path around the cacti. So just like that. So let me go around here as well. Oops. But again, yeah, they will no longer run into the cacti the way they would before. So the AI has definitely gotten a lot better. So you see, I can't really bait them into the cactus anymore. Small little change. All right, game mode 1. Bye. See ya. All right. Next up, we have... All right, next up over here, we have mobs have a 5% chance of spawning left-handed. Not something I can really display, but if you just spawn a bunch of them, chances are 1 out of 20 will be left-handed. So if they pick up one of your swords, they will use it in their left hand. Mobs can no longer spawn inside these non-solid blocks. So basically, if a certain area is entirely covered in these, they will not spawn on top of them. You have powered rails, detector rails, regular rails, activator rails, buttons, tripwire hooks, stone pressure plate, wooden pressure plate, weighted pressure plate light and heavy, lever, redstone torch, redstone repeater, redstone comparator, and redstone. Next up, proper support for multiple boss health bars. So basically, in the future, there might be multiple bosses you can fight at the same time, and when you do fight them, there'll be multiple bars, so you know which one. Basically, to know which how much health they're each at. All right, next up, igloos have been added as natural terrain generation. So I'm actually going to go into a regular world and show you one of these and how they generate naturally. So right in front of me, we have the new randomly generated structure, the igloo, which spawns in random different snowy biomes. So if you guys want to actually find this, I have a seed for it right here, where it actually is right around spawn. So if you guys want to pause it quickly, you guys can write that down and try it out for yourself. But I'm going to quickly display it for you right over here. So when you go inside, you'll see that you have a nice little bed, you have a crafting table, a redstone torch, as well as a furnace. Now, if you lift up all this carpet over here, you'll see that over here you have a trap door, so you can go down, and you do have a couple of treasures that you can unlock. And I believe there's some lore to this, but you'll see in a second what I'm talking about. So you have a regular villager over here, and you have a zombie villager over here, and it has like these arrows pointing in each direction. It's kind of strange. Again, I'm not sure what the lore is behind this, but you can actually do stuff with this. So if you open up this chest over here, you do have a handful of items over here. The golden apple is the important one that you're going to want to take out. And also in this, over here you have a splash potion of weakness. So they've already given you the ingredients to turn this zombie villager into a regular villager. So let me just break this. So if I throw this potion of weakness at him, and then I give him a golden apple, just see he starts like jolting like that, and that will basically eventually turn him into a regular villager. This takes quite a bit of time sometimes. I want to say it might take like up to 1.5 to 2 minutes, so I'm not going to wait here for the entire time. But that's basically, I guess, what they want you to do. So I'm not sure if like this guy froze to death and he ended up becoming a zombie, if that's like the lore behind it. But that's basically the gist of what you would expect inside an igloo. So I've just gotten all geared up, and now I'm going to enter the end and show you some of the changes they have over there, as well as the new Ender Dragon fight. So let's hop inside the end portal, and you're going to notice that things are much harder than they were before. So the first thing you're going to see is that some of these cages are around the end crystals. So they actually had it surrounding all of them before, but I think at the moment they put it only around the 2 or 3 shortest ones. So it makes it a little bit harder if you're in survival to actually, you know, stop the regen of the dragon. But let's quickly break these apart. So let's get rid of all these before we actually fight the Ender Dragon, because the Ender Dragon himself has gotten really strong. In some of the snapshots with a sharpness 5 sword and me just kind of spam clicking on him, it was still a really long battle. I also want to show you all how to harvest dragon breath. That's why I have these empty glass bottles over here. Let's break a couple more. Almost there. Alright, there we go. So let me drink a strength potion quickly. And I'm going to hit him with a spectral arrow so that way I can know which one is, let me see. Let me put that in my offhand. There we go. Oops. Alright, so let's hit him. Wow, that was awful. Oh, I think he's invulnerable right now, so let's see. Let's try it again. I guess spectral arrows don't work on him. But I'm going to basically get him to the point where he's going to go down to the ground, and we can catch some of the dragon breath. Let's get a little bit closer. Come on, get to the floor. You can do it. Oh, there's some dragon breath right over here. All right, so you just kind of spam click it, just like that, and you'll see I'm getting a handful in my inventory. So I now have dragon's breath. So let's drop down low. Let me just drink this potion of strength again, so that way I can do some more damage. But I'm gonna basically fast forward it to the point where he's actually almost dead. All right, so Ender Dragon is officially done. So we're just gonna wait for it to pop. All right, and you see that there's now this this beacon-looking thing over here, and it's similar to what I showed you before. So if we get a little bit closer to it, you can see the portal again. So this is kind of like this, it has this like funky looking effect, and the way to actually get through it is you're going to throw an ender pearl into it. And once you do that, you'll end up over here by another portal, which will take you to an end island, which can potentially have end cities. So let's look around and see if we can find any end cities or any structures worth noting. So while I was looking for an end city, I managed to get lucky and find an end boat right next to one, as well as another end city in the distance with another end boat. So pretty lucky with my spawn over here. Something worth noting that I didn't say before is that when you go inside an end gateway portal, it'll teleport you roughly 1,000 blocks away from the center of the end where you fought the Ender Dragon, and that's where all these end islands will appear. And also worth noting is that this is where all the chorus trees and all the chorus fruit are gonna randomly generate, and there's so many of them you essentially have an infinite supply. So let's go inside this end city and I'll show you what can be got over here. This is basically end game stuff, so some of the rewards are absolutely massive. So once you go inside, you'll see that there's two very well hidden shulkers, and you don't really notice them until they move for the most part, although the texture, you know, once you experience, is pretty easy to identify. But let's go up here, and it's going to be a pretty long travel up. This is actually one of the biggest end city houses I've ever seen. So once you go up this ladder, you have like a handful of parkour you need to do. So I'm going to skip all that, but I'm just going to fly up over here. Let's get out of here. All right. And then you're going to have a second level of parkour over here where you have these the end rods to go through. But there's tons of shulkers in here. So as you're actually going up here, they kind of help you out in the process. So they're going to hit you with their projectiles, which is going to force you to levitate. Now, if the levitation effect wears off at the wrong time, you could potentially fall to your death. But for the most part, I would say it's actually a good thing for the player. So let's see if we can find any chest over here and see if we can get some of that juicy loot. Alright, so let's go. Man, this thing is huge. I think this has to be the biggest end city I've ever actually seen. Alright, so okay, here's two chests right over here. So let's take a look. We have a ton of gold ingots and iron ingots, and a sword with knockback 2, unbreaking 3, bane of arthropods 4, and fire aspect 2. Pretty awesome sword. Let's see what we have over here. Some beetroot seeds and some gold ingots. This one, other one wasn't too crazy. Let's see if there's anything else above. Let me just go through here. Okay, another chest over here. A whole ton of more ores, ingots as well, and diamond boots with protection 3, as well as an ender chest. Pretty solid loot. And let me just check one more before I go to the end boat. The end boat is where the really good stuff comes in, including the elytra. So let's see, there should be one over here. Here we have a diamond helmet with fire protection 2, unbreaking 3, and respiration 2. That's pretty awesome stuff. Okay, now let's head to the ender boat over here. Ender ship, I think, is the proper name for it. Man, look how massive this thing is. Have you ever seen one that had this many like little paths through it? All right, so once you get over here, normally you would use ender pearls, or I guess you could build your way into it. But let's break in through here. All right, so you have an elytra inside an item frame, so you could just pick it off if you wanted it. I'm just gonna rotate it, but you could break it off and then you know, take it for yourself. But the loot here is usually no joke either. So you have iron boots with unbreaking 3, a bunch of ingots, an iron pickaxe with silk touch and efficiency 3, iron boots with protection 4 and frostwalker 2, and a diamond shovel with fortune 3, efficiency 4, unbreaking 3. This shovel is actually ridiculous. And let's see what's in this one. Oh wow, this one's completely diamond. Fire protection 3 leggings with unbreaking 3 and mending, 3 diamonds, iron horse armor, sharpness 3, blast protection 4 on the diamond leggings, and efficiency 3 on a shovel. So you can see that if you get to this point, the rewards are pretty massive, and I think that there should be potions in here as well. So yeah, you have potion of instant health. Well, it's potion of instant health 2. You have 2 of them, and I don't think there's anything up here, is there? They used to actually have beacons on this thing until they realized that it was a little bit too overpowered to have beacons on top of all the other rewards you got. It would kind of make fighting the wither almost pointless. But this is basically the gist of end cities, and you'll see that the rewards are pretty phenomenal. So after you've defeated the Ender Dragon and you've got your little end gateway portal over there, as well as your dragon egg as a reward, if you want to respawn him, which you can do an infinite amount of times, you're going to have to craft 4 ender crystals and put one at each corresponding corner right over here. You just put it right in the center, and when I put the 4th one down, just wait for it. Let's back up, and you're going to see a pretty cool animation. So all these things are going to respawn. The end crystals are going to return. There you have it, just one more to go. And they're all fusing towards the center, and eventually the Ender Dragon will reappear just like that. There you have it. So let me go quickly back to that End Gateway portal over here. So there's one over here. Even though you can defeat the Ender Dragon an infinite amount of times, you will get up to 20 of these per world. So they'll basically spawn in a circle all around the end. And that's basically the gist of the end changes at the moment. So we're almost done covering the update, just a couple things left. So let's go to general game changes. They added subtitles in the sound options. So if you go to the options over here and you go to music and sounds, you can turn on show subtitles over here. And it's a pretty cool addition. I think it's made for people who are like hard of hearing and whatnot, but let me go somewhere where there's actually some noise happening. So let's go by these mobs over here. And if you look in the bottom right, you'll see footsteps, rabbit squeaks. If I hit this pig, pig hurts, etc. So pretty cool thing, like especially if you're playing in a UHC or something like that, where it might be a little bit hard to hear exactly what's going on, like where like really subtle things are happening, then this is it's a pretty big advantage. So let me get rid of that because that's a little bit too much for me to see at the moment. All right. Let's see next. World displays last version user played on. This is actually a pretty important change. So if I was to log out of this world and then try to sign in, it will show that Minecraft 1.9 is the last that I played on. This is kind of important because sometimes, well, most of the time, worlds are not completely reverse compatible. So if I was to log in with the wrong version, I could potentially corrupt my world and lose some of the stuff that's added in newer versions. Next up, experience is collected in middle of body instead of head. So let's go and take these bottles of enchanting, and I'm just going to spam them on the floor. I think I need to actually make a little bit of a bigger spam situation over here. So let me just drop a whole bunch of these so that the floor is entirely covered in experience. All right, almost there, almost there. And basically the reason why they added this is that when it would spin around your head, it would kind of get in the way. So with it kind of going in the middle / lower part of your body, you could see that I can look around normally and it's pretty much unobstructed. But as I look down, that's where pretty much all the action's happening. Small change, but I'd say a big improvement and kind of a big convenience. You can kind of see the way it looks like they do figure eights. All right, next up. All loot from mobs, chests, etc. based on loot tables except block drops. So this is really good for map makers. So if you want to change the way certain rewards are given, you could just edit the loot tables. Next up, in hardcore mode, you can now spawn in spectator mode instead of the world being deleted. Let's clear this weather again. This is pretty cool because a lot of times you work really hard in your hardcore world and you could potentially lose it. So before it would get deleted, now you can spawn in spectator mode and potentially save your world if you desire to. Next up, when crouching, players are now 1.65 blocks tall instead of 1.8. So I made this thing with some snow slabs over here, and you'll see that I can walk normally under this. But let me just stand under here. I can walk up to 2 blocks over here, but I can't get under here. If I crouch, I can now fit under here, but I can't get on top of this one. So not a significant change, but you could squeeze through things a little bit easier than you could before. Next up, when flying with Elytra, players are 0.6 blocks tall. So let's equip this over here. Let me get that. There we go. Do I have it on? Yes, I do. All right, cool. So let me go into this mode over here. And you're going to see that I can now fly under this. Where before, like if I shift under this, I wouldn't be able to fit. But I can fly under it. Whoops. Did not meant to go like that. There you go. I can now go under it when I fly. You can actually go under even smaller heights than this. I tried a couple times, and I wasn't successful very often, so I didn't want to display it for the video. But it's possible to go even lower than this. All right, next up. In video settings, they removed super secret settings and alt block toggle. Not a major change. I don't think anybody really used super secret settings except for silly things, but just worth noting that it was removed. Health regens faster when saturation is not empty and player is not hungry. Again, another small change. Next up, sneaking raises exhaustion half as much as walking. So if you want to save your hunger a little bit in emergency situations, you can sneak. Players invulnerable during dimension changes. This became kind of a big issue. I believe it was like a YouTuber UHC where they were sabotaging portals by pouring lava on them. So it basically made it impossible to get back from the Nether and vice versa without dying. So this is actually a very positive change. I feel like it was very easy to abuse before, and now it makes you a lot safer. Let's see, next up, player collision back and can be toggled off. So you can go into your settings and change it up. But if you saw before, like when the iron golem was pushing me around, that wasn't the case before. Normally you could walk through them, but now you can turn it on or off. It's entirely up to you. Let's see. There are mobs smaller than 0.512 blocks can't turn farmland to dirt. Also, all baby mobs, small slimes, and small magma cubes. But these are the ones worth noting. So it's cave spider, chicken, wolf, ocelot, rabbit, silverfish, endermite, and bat. So these are the ones that cannot turn farmland into dirt. All right, now we're going to finish it off with all these command blocks, and I'm just going to quickly play the sounds for you. So these are all the new sounds that were added to the game. A couple of them are going to be played more than once because I organized them in such a way where you have new block sounds and sounds that were changed before. So I'll have a couple of them just for the sake of comparison. Let's quickly set time today, time set day, and let's raise our volume up a little bit so you guys can hear what is going on. So let's raise this to 80 right here. All right, there we go. So first up, brewing stand brew. Chest close. Chorus flower death. Chorus flower grow. Fence gate close. Fence gate open. Furnace fire crackle. Is that what it's supposed to sound like? I guess so. Or maybe this one I might have messed up or something. Oh, you can kind of hear it. All right, iron door close. Iron door open. Iron trapdoor close. Iron trapdoor open. Trapdoor close. Trapdoor open. Water lily place. Wooden door close. Wooden door open. All right, next up we have a new enchant sound. The only one worth noting is Thorns Hit. That one sounds ridiculous. It sounds like a fart. All right, that's ridiculous. Mojang knew what they were doing when they made that one. All right, next up is new entity sounds. Armor stand break. Armor stand hit. Cow milk. Guardian ambient. Horse eat. Item frame adding an item. Item frame break. Item frame place. Item frame remove item. Item frame rotate item. Some of these sounds are very subtle, by the way, and especially with the button clicking, it does interfere with the sound just a little bit, but I'm sure most of you guys can tell the difference between the button sound and what you're hearing. Leash not break. Leash not place. Painting break. Painting place. Attack crit. Attack knockback. Attack no damage. Attack strong. Attack sweep. Attack weak. Player breath. Rabbit attack. Shulker ambient. Shulker close. Shulker death. Shulker hurt. Shulker hurt closed. Shulker open. Shulker shoot. Shulker teleport. Shulker bullet hit. Shulker bullet hurt. This one actually doesn't have a sound. It's Snowman ambient, but they do have a sound file for it. So you'll see nothing's there. Snowman throw, again, this one also has no sound, but there is a sound file for it. Snowman death. Snowman hurt. Squid ambient. Squid death. Squid hurt. Witch ambient. Witch death. Witch hurt. Witch drink. Witch throw. Alright, so that's the gist of those. Alright, almost done with all these guys. I know they added a lot of new sounds, but I just wanted to make sure that you got to hear all of them. So next up is new item sounds. Armor equip chain. Armor equip diamond. Armor equip generic. Armor equip gold. Armor equip iron. Armor equip leather. Bottle fill. Bottle fill dragon breath. Bucket empty. Bucket empty lava. Bucket fill. Bucket fill lava. Elytra flying. That's a long one. Hotil. Shield block. Shovel flatten. Next up is new weather sounds. There's just rain. All right. Next column. We have, or row rather, originally unused block sounds now used in the game. So portal travel. That was extremely loud. So headphone, I should put a headphone warning for that one. Wood button click off. Wood button click on. I mean, I've been clicking these for quite a while. Originally unused entity sounds now used in the game. So magma cube jump. That one sounds funny. Slime attack. Next up is new entity sound event existed past now in use. All right, armor stand fall. Armor stand place. Donkey chest. Ender dragon shoot. Ender dragon fireball explode. Pig saddle. Next up, new block sound existed in the past now in use. End gateway spawn. Some of these are really loud. All right, next up is new item sounds existed. New item sounds specifically existed in the past now in use. I know it looks odd that I'm putting these in different sections, but this is for the item sounds. This one is for block sounds, etc. This one is shield break. All right, sound events that have changed the way they played since 1.8. So I did show chest open earlier, but just to reference, this one has changed, and there was a sound for opening a chest before. Chest close, iron door close, iron door open, iron trapdoor close, iron trapdoor open, metal pressure plate off, metal pressure plate on, wooden trapdoor close, wooden trapdoor open, wood button click off, wood button click on, wooden door close, wooden door open, wooden pressure plate off, wooden pressure plate on, guardian ambient. I think this is another longish one. Oh, that's not so long. Again, that's another one we played earlier. And rain we played earlier as well. And the last row we have over here. These are unused sounds by game, but playable. So again, these haven't been officially added, but there's still sound files that you can use them for. Bat loop, cat hiss, endermite step, ghast scream, silverfish step, wolf howl, zombie attacking iron door, and note pling. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much the gist of the update. I know it's been a really long video, but I wanted to make sure that you guys got, anybody who wanted to get information on this update, got every piece of information they could ask for. And I hope I did a good job covering it. I really hope this video helped you guys out a lot. If it did, a like would be very much appreciated, because this was quite a bit to put together. It's one of the reasons why it took me so long to come out with this video after the original 1.9 update came out. I wanted it to come out, so I wanted to make it after it came out instead of preparing beforehand, so that way I knew specifically what exact changes were being made. So yeah, I hope you guys found this helpful. And anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. So subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this one, and I'll see you all next time. Take it easy, guys.